Yeah, we going up, we going crazy, going bonkers. Produced by Ziggy, Zay Ticky, believe that.
It ain't peaches, it'll deceive you, boy, believe me. What you know about a jungle made with nothing but semen. No creepy crawlers, just heathens that prey on your weakness. Smell the slightest hint of fear, and the stainless you'll eat it. Gang bangers that greet your test on their face like Weezy. Pouring milk by the ounce, walking around looking sleepy. I'm from a town no integrity, a broken city, disrupted. I know niggas who once were real, who now turning into sucks. When it comes to murder, it's nothing. Rallos get pulled over scuffles. Bumpy road around this motherfucker, your life means nothing. It ain't peaches. Niggas walking around with no feelings, with a chip on their shoulder, saying the world don't feel us. Trying to earn them some millions so they can split with they niggas. I know cats that died broke because they lost all ambition. When it comes up to get
Welcome back to another edition of More to Live For. We're right back on this good segment, Queens of the City. I have a special guest with me this afternoon. I'm going to let her introduce herself and tell you what it is that she does, and we're going to get the conversation rolling. How you doing, ma'am?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Good. My name is Alexis Perkins, and I am an assistant public defender for New Hanover County.
Awesome. So for starters, ma'am, how did you get into this career? Is this something that you wanted to do? Did it start in high school or, before then, or did you, have this dream, once you became an adult?
I would say that I have always been an advocate in some way or another. I didn't grow up thinking that I wanted to be a lawyer or that I was going to be a lawyer. I actually wanted to be a pediatrician. But my mom always felt like, this was in my path. My grandmother used to say, oh, she's going to be a Philadelphia lawyer. I think that's just something that older people used to say all the time, just because of the fact that I was always advocating for someone or arguing my side or my point of view. And so they kind of saw that for me. I didn't really see that for me until I got to college. And even then, I kind of applied to law school on a whim. I was going to go the teaching route, actually. And my mom was like, why don't you just apply for law school? I was like, yeah, I don't know. And so I applied to law school, applied to only 2 law schools, actually, and got in. And went from there. And so once I got into law school, I kind of developed even more of a passion for people and justice and really protecting young people in particular. That's a specialty that I have. And so I think that's how it came to be.
All right. Before we get to further along in your career, could you lay out your educational background?
Sure. So graduated from North Pitt High School in 2003. Then I went to UNC Chapel Hill, have an undergraduate bachelor degree in Romance languages. Obviously, I wasn't going to do much with that. And so I ended up in law school at Campbell. And then I started my career after that.
All right, awesome. So for my viewers and for me, could you explain the term passing the bar?
Yes. So several different, I guess, career choices require some sort of examination before you're able to, go into the field and start practicing. And so law is one of those fields that before you can just go in and start, going into a courtroom or whatever, you have to pass an exam. And so the exam is, I think, a 2-day exam. It's changed a little bit since I've taken it. It's comprised of multiple choice questions, essay questions, And there is a score. I don't remember what the score is right now, but it's some sort of numeric score that you have to achieve in order to have considered to have passed that exam. And so passing the bar means that you have gotten a satisfactory score on that exam, and you are now licensed, or actually you're eligible to be licensed in the state of North Carolina to practice law.
All right. And I recently just discovered that it varies from different states. Like if you can practice law in North Carolina, you still, if you were to relocate, you would have to, if I'm correct, you have to pass the bar again in a different state.
Right. So you have to be licensed in each state that you plan to practice. So different states have different requirements. There are some states where I would have to possibly retake a bar exam or a portion of a bar exam. And there are certain states where I would just have to apply and I could waive into that state, which simply means that they recognize that if you pass the bar in North Carolina, then we recognize that as sufficient for our state, and we're going to give you privileges in our state, even without having to, take the bar all over again. So there are some states that we have what's called reciprocity with, and some states that we don't, where we would have to take a portion of the bar exam in order to practice in that state.
Okay, awesome. I kind of wanted to ask you something. It kind of slipped my mind when we were talking about your college years. I asked Dontario this too. So I want to know, your experience with, a sorority in college, and, the benefits that it, had, the impact that it made on your life.
So my experience with sorority life is not really unique, but different from what people might think is the traditional method. I actually did not pledge in undergraduate. I actually pledged as a graduate. So the Divine Nine organizations are Greek organizations for African American, but we don't only have African American participants. However, the goal is to uplift the Black community. And within those Divine Nine organizations, they are lifelong organizations, meaning that it's not just about your college life, you're a member for life, and we engage in service for the rest of our lives. And so what that does is it presents an opportunity for you to access membership even after you've graduated from college. And so I pledged Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and I did that actually while I was in law school. So after I graduated from undergrad at Carolina. And so, being a member of AKA in terms of benefits, I mean, I could go on and on about the benefits of having a sisterhood of women who are like-minded, who are goal-oriented, who can sort of push you past what you feel like might be your comfort zone into greatness, right? Having, I can't tell you the number of interviews that I've gone on for either jobs or recognition or, organizations in the community. And there has been a sorority member on the board that's like, okay, I see you, I got you, right? In those situations, it's created an opportunity for the expansion of or making sure that there's a person of color represented in this world, whatever that organization is. And so that's been phenomenal. The networking is phenomenal. You can't hardly go anywhere without seeing an AKA. And then just understanding that, part of our motto is that we help each other. And I think that's true. That's been so true for me, at least, that at every stage, every step that I go through, there's usually a sorority member there to say, okay, I got you. Let me show you which way to go, or let me help you with this, or let me help you with that. And that's just invaluable. I think there are so many avenues in life where, I've been in rooms and sat at tables where I'm the only person of color, right? And having to explain things, or, undergo certain, microaggressions, things like that. To have a network of sisters that understand, that you don't have to explain things to, that get it, that have had experiences, it's been phenomenal. So yeah, in case you didn't know or couldn't tell, I absolutely love my AKA.
Oh, I definitely can tell. I just wanted you to touch on that and share it with my viewers, just how important that is, that whole experience in college, and how it, kind of gets you ready for the next step. I just wanted to touch on that. One thing I did want you to talk about for me and my viewers, can you tell us the type of law that you do practice?
Yes. So I actually practice a little bit of everything. I think when people normally look at the public defender's office, they primarily think criminal law. I do some of that. So I represent some of my clients in district court as well as superior court, which are, the differences are district court is usually misdemeanor offenses. Superior court is usually felony offenses. And so I do some of that. I also represent juveniles in delinquency court. It's dealing with crimes, but it's still actually civil practice. So it's not actually criminal practice, but it is dealing with crimes that we would normally associate with adults. And then I also represent parents in abuse, neglect, dependency cases. So those are cases where DSS has gotten involved and has removed a child from their parents for various reasons. And then I work with the parents to try and help them to restore custody of their children. And then finally, I represent parents in the termination of parental rights cases, where either the Department of Social Services or another private attorney comes and wants to terminate the rights of a parent. I would represent that parent in trying to maintain their rights as a parent.
Thank you for explaining that. Thank you. I do have a quick question, ma'am. Well, I just kind of want you to touch on the stigma that's around, and it's mainly in our culture, the stigma around, a defendant needing a lawyer and he gets a public defendant. Like, the stigma is that, if you have a public defendant, like, your chances are, kind of low for, beating this case.
Absolutely. I mean, this is definitely, or can be at times, a thankless job, because people have so many theories about their public defender. Oh, you guys work for the state. So if you work for the state, you and the DA all work together. Or the public defender, y'all have so many cases, you can't really focus on my case, or you don't have time to really focus on my case. Or public defenders aren't real lawyers. That's probably my favorite. I need a real lawyer. I need to hire a real lawyer. We hear these things all the time. And it's really kind of unfortunate, because what people don't realize is that, yes, public defenders are here to represent our indigent clients who could not otherwise afford to hire an attorney. But that does not mean that we are any less credentialed than the attorneys that you would hire. In many cases, we are more experienced than a lot of the private attorneys, because this is something we do every single day. Whereas they may be in and out of different courtrooms, doing a little bit here, a little bit there. We do this every day. We get really familiar with the judges, the system, really familiar with ways to benefit our clients and help our clients. And so, all I can do is provide my clients with an experience where they look back and say, oh my God, I'm glad that you were there to represent me, you know, because I can't dispel that myth for all public defenders. I think it's each of our job as we do our job to demonstrate to the public that, hey, we're good at this. We know what we're doing and we're good at this and you're in really great hands. And so that's what I try to do.
Well put, well put. And thank you for clearing it up. Everything that you laid out in detail, I've definitely heard those from you're working with the state, from you're not a real lawyer, you know, the list goes on. And I kind of want you to clear that up, mainly because I think this is helpful for not only me and you, but for the entire culture. And then the fact that you know, you deal with delinquents also. So I definitely, you know, wanted you to, you know, just chime in and clear that up, because I don't know the exact percentage, but I'm pretty sure, you know, it's a good percentage of the delinquents, you know, are African-American males. So, and they may be in a position where they, you know, are appointed a court appointed lawyer. So that I just kind of wanted to touch on that and clear that up.
Absolutely.
Something that I did want to touch on briefly, and I do mean briefly, because I know everything that comes with it, but being that, you know, that you are, you know, representing, you know, minors at times, and, you know, you're defending criminals a lot, well, alleged criminals. So I was kind of wanting to know your, not necessarily your stance, but kind of your opinion and maybe a suggestion, you know, for the recent wave of gun violence in this country and things like that. Like I said, briefly, because I really don't want to get, you know, too political.
Absolutely. How gun violence relates to me and my work, a lot of young people are caught up in this gun violence situation that we're in. They're gaining access to weapons in various ways. You know, part of what needs to be addressed on one end is why some of these young people feel like they need weapons, right? So I've talked a lot about how young people in certain communities are feeling like they need a gun or weapon just to walk down the street. They don't feel safe in their communities, right? And so that's something that we as a society need to address, because I don't feel that any child should feel like they can't walk down the street and feel unsafe to the extent that I need a gun or I need some sort of weapon to protect me. They just shouldn't feel that way. And so I think it's our job as a society to address those issues and try to resolve them as best as we can. What I see also in my caseload are kids who are, some of them are just out being kids. You know, one of the crimes that a lot of kids engage in is sort of breaking, entering motor vehicles to see if they can, you know, find things they can sell or use or whatever. And what I'm finding is that a lot of people leave guns, weapons in the car unsecured, right? And so you can give me all your arguments. Oh, it's my house, it's my driveway, you know, my car is unlocked. Well, I'm telling you, kids, this is an attraction for kids. When they go through neighborhoods, they see cars outside of garages, they like to check to see if they can gain access, and they're finding weapons. And then they go on to use, misuse, lose those weapons, and then they get into the hands of individuals who are killing one another or killing other people or whatever the situation might be. And so there is such a need for responsible gun ownership, in addition to whatever other legislation might come about to make sure that, you know, assault rifles and things like that aren't getting into the wrong hands. People who own guns, we have to be careful about what we do with our weapons, that we are securing our weapons and not allowing young people to have access to them because they're young. You know, think about what you were doing when you were 14, 15, 16 years old. You know, I could go into the brain science of how their brains aren't fully developed and all of that, but I'll just say they're not making the best decisions. And so sometimes as adults, we've got to make decisions for folks that we might not even see every day. We've got to make responsible choices in how we protect our weapons so that they're not getting in the wrong hands.
Definitely, ma'am. I think you definitely, you know, gave me the answer I was looking for, and I think that's well put. And I definitely think, you know, my viewers and my subscribers can definitely learn a lot from everything that you laid out during this interview. I definitely want to thank you for doing this. Before we get out of here, I did kind of want to share something with you. It's not really related to the, you know, to the interview. I just kind of want to, during this interview, take time out and tell you thank you for everything that you mean to my family. So, and and you've been there and real supportive, and, you know, you are family. So I just kind of want to take that time out, and, you know, because I know the way I definitely know the way my cousin Dontaria feel about you, but I know the way my cousin Mel feels about you as a sister-in-law. And I know what you meant to my uncle, and I know the way my aunt feels about you and the way she looks at you. And my favorite picture is when Jackson was on the way and you and my aunt Lisa hugging on the beach. So I just kind of wanted to touch on that. I just kind of want to touch on that and definitely tell you, you know, thank you for everything that you have been for the family, and you are family. So I definitely thank you for doing this, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I want to thank you too for doing these videos. I have watched a number of them. They have all been so interesting. I've watched them almost with pride, as if like I'm someone's sister, and I'm not related to most of the people with the exception of Dontario, but I just feel so much pride because you are highlighting folks, what they say, north of the river, right?
Yeah.
And I just feel like so much of the community sort of gave up on us, didn't really have any expectations on the kids across the river or across the railroad tracks, or however you want to put it. And I think these videos have demonstrated what we're capable of, what we're out here doing, how we're changing the world around us. And so I just want to thank you for taking your time and your skills to conduct these interviews. They've been great.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. And just like the logo, is definitely more to live for, and it's more to come. So I'm definitely going to keep my foot on the gas with everything that I'm doing. But I'm telling you now, you know, be on the lookout for a few celebrity guests coming real soon. So you heard it here first. But yeah, I definitely think this has been, you know, a great interview. Once again, ma'am, thank you for not only this interview, but everything that you do for my family and everything that you are for my family. So
absolutely.
Definitely. I think we're going to wrap things up right here. There's been another edition of More to Live For, Queens of the City. Peace and blessings to all. Thanks for watching.